Stupid questions. The kind of questions I love helping people with and the kind I don't. I get so many questions, and so now I think we're getting to a point where I need to address some of these questions and which ones are good questions and which ones are bad questions. So let's start with the good questions. Here's a good question. If you need to ask me anything at all because you're testing me for my knowledge and expertise on a particular area, and maybe you're considering using my shop for servicing your vehicle, there are no stupid questions. You can ask me anything you want. You can ask me how many times a day I brush my teeth, how many fuses are in the fuse box of an R107, what the oxygen sensor values are on a KE car, you know, how many pin bushings a D-Jetronic wiring harness takes. Because those questions, if you're actually really considering bringing your car here, whatever somebody needs to make them feel secure about it, I welcome. Next question, next category of question that's acceptable. If you really need my help and you're an avid problem solver who works in his own car and you're having a weird problem, ask away. If you need help finding a part number because your dealer said it is in LA, ask me. If you're vetting a car and trying to determine if it's a good purchase or not and you need to discuss the car, ask away. Good question. If you need to find a shop that can help you in your area, ask away. If you need to know what fuel to use or, you know, basic technical data about your Mercedes and you have tried everywhere else on the internet to find a keyword, ask. And then if I've sorted a car out for you or worked with you in the past, you've paid me money for something, especially something on your car, one of your cars, you know, you ask away. I'm here to help you. I want you to be able to enjoy that relationship with your car. And then I think, you know, last, if you have questions that your shop can't help you with or your mechanic can't help you with or nobody seems to be able to help you with, and you really need an answer to that question, you're going to take that information and use it to your benefit. Ask that question. You know, it's very important to ask those questions. Don't be shy about asking good, healthy, intelligent questions. Bad questions, questions you shouldn't ask. And I'm going to try to go in order of these that peeve me. If you're going to ask me a question because your mechanic can't figure something out and you're going to use the information and take it to your mechanic, that's fine. But if the information works, give me a little something. You know, give me a nice Google review. You know, it doesn't even have to be monetary. Just go on Google and leave a 5-star review and say, Pierre answered my question. But if you're just going to ask for that information that I've worked hard for all my life and then go to your mechanic and then argue back and forth with your mechanic and your mechanic doesn't listen and then you don't listen and this and that. And you end up wasting all three of our time, your mechanic's time, my time, although maybe the mechanic deserves their time wasted if they're not really up on their job. Maybe don't bother. You know, just give me something though. You know, give me a little credit or anything at least. The next stupid question is if you're not going to even use the information. If I'm going to go into depth explaining to you how an OVP works, don't bother asking me if you're not going to use the information. If you're not going to go get a genuine Mercedes part and put it in the car, if you're not going to tell your mechanic, hey, I talked to Pierre Hedary, he works in a bunch of these cars, here's the advice he gave me, let's try it. Nothing wrong with that, but you know, if you're not going to use the information at all, if you're just going to shrug it off, oh, it's too complicated. You know, if you need some clarification, ask me to clarify. Number 3, if you're going to call me during work hours, ask me to explain like a massive thing to you that takes 15 or 20 minutes, you know, and you know it's like 8 to 5 p.m. or you're impatient and you call me 3 or 4 times. I get so freaking sick of people that call me 3 or 4 times in a row. Send me a text message. Introduce yourself. Say, hey, my name is, you know, John Smith and I have a 1994 20 SEL. I would like some information on how to adjust my idle mixture. That would be better. Send me an email, but calling me 4 times, 5 times during my workday, demanding that I answer the phone. And one time I got called by this guy from the UK. He had an impeccable accent, but what a demanding asshole. You call me like 3 or 4 times. International call, expects me to pay for it. You know, can you help me with this problem in my S600? I'm like, well, no, I can't because you're an asshole. So we're closed. No soup for you. I think number 4, if you own a garage, now this is one of my biggest ones. If you own a freaking garage and you think that I'm just going to give you advice for free while you make money off of my advice, sorry, we're closed forever. I think that that kind of selfish behavior where you're like, oh, I'm just going to reach out to this guy because he knows a lot of this stuff is, is probably a little selfish of you. And I think that, in case you work at a shop and you want to have your question answered, it's like $20 per question. Or if you need a consultation about the procedure to fix something, it's $118 an hour. So if it takes me a half hour, it's $59. If it takes me a quarter of an hour, it's $29.50. And that's for now. And by the way, those rates are going to go up soon. So, sorry, this is the America we live in where inflation is finally rearing its ugly head. Now, here's another category of question that I don't like. If you are a serial car destroyer who's not going to do things right, who just wrecked one Mercedes and are just getting another cheap Mercedes. I got this guy from Roseburg, Oregon. I've never been to Roseburg, but man, maybe I'm not going to ever go. This guy is like, oh, I wrecked my other 300E, so now I've got to keep this one. And by the way, I answered the same question for you 3 times. You're too stupid to call me. If you're not smart enough to use the information to execute it, and you don't have a mechanic that can help you, I can't give some directions to your mechanic for some compensation. No, don't waste my time. There are other people out there that are not going to waste my time that need, move over for them, And then here's another question too. Like if you're going to call me also, like on the flip side, if you're going to call me late at night, like at 10 o'clock at night or 11 at night, you're out of your freaking mind. I have a family. I have a small child. I'm going to be asleep, or I'm going to be working on invoices, making money. I'm going to be running the hash mine, getting my Bitcoin out. I don't want to take calls at 11 o'clock at night unless it is from a customer and it's an emergency. Then I do not mind. But if it's from somebody from the West Coast who, thinks that they're some kind of genius and is just almost close to solving a problem. They just need 30 minutes of my time to explain to them that they need to check their number 7 fuse so their 300E will start normally, and I could go on and on about this. Now, the last category of question that I really hate is if you're modifying a car, like swapping the drivetrain or whatever, and you think that you're going to ask me a question about something else in that car, forget it. That car is as good as dead to me now. Needs a total restoration. I don't want to answer your questions. One time I had a guy call me who was doing an M113 swap or an M155 swap or something on a 250 SE Coupe, and he had a question for me about something. And you know what my response was? My response was, why bother? If you're smart enough to put the damn driveline in the car, you should be smart enough to figure everything else out about it, I don't have time for these people. I only have time for people that are preserving these cars, and I get to choose to use my time how I want to use it. Probably the last category of person I really don't like is the reseller, the person who's going to be selling the car and making a shit ton of money off of it. Sorry for the profanity, but if they're going to be making a lot of money off of that car and they need to ask me a question like 1 or 2 more things. Now, if you're like just trying to sell the car and it was your dad's car or something, or a car that you're trying to rehome, great. But if you're in the business of selling cars and you're making a lot of money off of that business, you'd better damn well give me something if I'm going to answer a question for you that your mechanic can't answer, or you can't figure out the answer for yourself. Because the principle is, if you're not making money off of my advice and I am genuinely helping you, fine. Advice is advice. I'm here to help a friend. But if you're making money off of that advice, we're not friends at all. This is a contractual business relationship, and under the rules of business etiquette, you are required to compensate me for a service you can't provide yourself, just like you would a person at a restaurant or a person that you were buying groceries from or a prostitute. There is compensation required for the services, and I don't know. I just get frustrated with this stuff. So if you were wondering whether or not you should send me a question, watch this video and please like, share, and subscribe. Unless you're offended, then sorry. And we'll talk in the future. And to all of our Patreon supporters, we appreciate you paying it forward and giving us some, you know, we're always here to help our Patreon supporters because they actually have the decency to, you know, want to make sure that, you know, our channel survives and everything before they start asking for copious amounts of my time, which I like. Thanks.